In just 2 days from now, the world will be witnessing one of this year's and hopefully the decade's grandest ceremonies as the United Kingdom gets its new monarch, King Charles III. Needless to say, no stone is being left unturned to ensure that the grand coronation is a success. Now, we are understanding that novelty will be seen in abundance when it comes to the ceremony, which has been themed on togetherness and inclusivity. Pakistan Prime Minister Mr. Shehbaz Sharif has arrived in London to attend the ceremony and also the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. Prime Minister Shehbaz has hailed Pakistan's relationship with the United Kingdom, and he's also said in a tweet that the relations between the two countries were rooted in shared history and multifaceted bonds that have grown stronger over the decade. Indian Vice President Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar will also be attending the royal ceremony on behalf of the Indian government. Dhankar is set to arrive in London on the 5th of May. Now, during the ceremony, there are several historic events that have been lined up. One such is the involvement of Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Rishi Sunak. For the very first time in the history of the coronation, traditions being held so far in so many decades, a practicing Hindu shall be playing a crucial role in the Christian ceremony. Now, Prime Minister Sunak shall be reading out the epistle that is selected by the Archbishop of Canterbury. In addition to this, the female bishops shall also be taking part in the ceremony. And it is going to be a new era for the newly anointed monarch, certainly.
But no, I'm sorry. I've had somebody here once, a man here who didn't like the royal family. I felt like saying, if you don't like it, don't come here then, you know. I mean, don't come and moan. But, yeah, well, people do and people don't. You can't make them, can you? I mean, I love them, I adore them. But then I haven't got any brothers or sisters. And I think that made a difference, really. I sort of followed them. Princess Anne is a toddler, really. Prince Charles a bit older. So really, I do enjoy what I do. Yes, I used to cut out photographs of him and Princess Anne in newspapers when Charles was obviously the older one, and he was about, should we say, 4 or 5, and Princess Anne was about 2. So I've been doing it a long time. But I enjoy it, to me. I mean, some people smoke, some people drink, some people go on holiday. I don't do any of those things.
And it blew. I was with my mum and uncle, and they blew the windows in, and we all came out. And believe it or not, a while after, the Queen came along to look at the damage, and she gave us a wave, and I waved back, and there's a little picture up there somewhere where that's where I was when I was 3 years old, so that's where it all started. The plate is one of my favourites, with the old Queen Mother waving, and behind the trophy there is, I can't see him, I forget their names half the time, as the old age catching me up. But William and Kate has always been one of my favourites. The two lads, when they were together, they were my favourites, and they still are married. It brings me closer to them, really, because it represents them. I keep a record of all my letters, and it covers all the family, even the children. So the children get to know me as they grow up. So, you know, for me, recently I had a letter from the King himself, now the King, and that is a private one.
Yes, I am. Yeah. Oh yeah, I love it when the royals have got big do's on, as it were. I do hope one day I see the next two on the throne. I would like to see them, because they're a different ball game, aren't they? They're young, they're modern.
The first time I ever came for a royal event was for Fergie and Andrew's wedding, and that was in, I think, 86 or 87. And actually I was pregnant at the time, but I came anyhow. And then after that, I came for Will and Kate's wedding, and Harry and Meghan's, and the Queen's, a couple of her jubilees, some of her birthdays, and it's just, nobody does it like the British, the pomp and the circumstance. And like I said, we don't have anything like this in the States. I'm just happy to be here and be part of history. I mean, this hasn't happened in 70 years, and it's like, I mean, every time you see pictures of a new monarch, the first thing they show is the day they were crowned. And I mean, for us to be here and see him immediately afterwards.
My colleague Sanjay Suri is now joining us live. Sanjay, 38 monarchs have been crowned at the Westminster's Abbey, and this one, the grand coronation of King Charles III, is going to have London witness one of its grandest ceremonies in decades, considering it's happening after more than 70 years. Just take our viewers through all the preparedness that you see around you.
Well, the preparation really is among people, and that depends upon whether they're enthusiastic about this or not. And as we were just hearing, people have a right to choose whether they like the monarchy or not. And those who do not can stay home. A few of them will be out protesting, but there will, of course, be tens of thousands of people there to celebrate the coronation. There is, of course, a very substantial population of people who are compulsive royalists. They absolutely adore the royalty, and it's their country, their king, their queen, whoever, so it's absolutely their right and privilege to do so. And they're preparing very enthusiastically to watch the coronation. We know that we spoke to some people who've been pitching tents there in front of the palace 10 days before the coronation. They're staying there day and night just to get a glimpse of the procession pass by of the king in his golden coach. And there are others who have queued just to be able to get a glimpse of them on that balcony at Buckingham Palace. And one woman who came in a week earlier, who we spoke to, she said that she's just going to look for that moment to grab a picture of the monarch from her phone, just a simple phone camera. And she therefore wants to get up there and to grab that picture. So this is the level of interest and the passion we have for this. But of course, there are all sorts of arrangements in place. The police have 30,000 officers on the job on the streets of London. They're armed with new laws. There is a new law saying that anyone trying to disrupt some public function or disrupt services can face up to years in prison. They have said that they will take a very robust view and take a robust response to anyone trying to undermine the celebration. This does call into question what undermining can mean to, whether it can mean breaking the law. We've seen one arrest at Buckingham Palace, someone threw cartridges inside. So preparations are continuing at so many different levels. And of course, the ultimate preparation is the procession itself, the ceremony itself, and the king himself has joined the rehearsals at Westminster Abbey. We saw rehearsals, a midnight rehearsal on the street of London between Buckingham Palace and Westminster Abbey. So there is preparation now really at all events for the ceremony itself, for the procession, among people for participation, and among a few also for protest.
And finally, Sanjay, when it is about family, there was so much conjecture about whether Harry is going to be attending the coronation or not. Now, we have clarity that he, in fact, is going to be there. However, Meghan is going to be absent from this entire coronation ceremony. Do we know, has Harry already arrived in the UK?
He has not arrived in the UK. This is going to be a whistle-stop visit. He is going to come the latest he can and stay for the least that he can and then leave. And there is, of course, a concentration of questions what the protocol will be then, principally on where he will be seated within Westminster Abbey. And we all saw this report suggesting that he might be seated 10 seats behind. And that was on the basis of an estimate from someone considering themselves a royal expert. I personally doubt that he will sit that far back or he will be seated that far back. We'll have to see. I do believe that it's very much more likely that he will be far closer to the front rows than be seated there. He has been invited. He is the prince. He is the king's son. Surely King Charles has not invited him all the way to then deliver a snub to him and almost a so-called slap in the face by giving him a position of humiliation within the Abbey. The British don't do it this way. Royalty doesn't. The palace is likely to be very gracious about this. It is then Harry's choice how long he stays or not, and certainly it has been his choice to have gone away, and as a consequence of that, the palace will not include him now in the procession most likely, and he is not likely to be on the balcony for that final grand moment.
Absolutely. Sanjay, thank you so much for all of that information. Like Sanjay rightly mentioned, this is a ceremony that's meant for traditional royalists, and all eyes will be in the United Kingdom, in London, when that coronation really takes place.